Okay, so you may notice that we have some really nice value in the highlights. So in the light areas, we have pulled out the lightest, brightest highlights, and then there's some gradation in those highlights because we use the kneaded eraser and the clicky eraser and your white plastic eraser to pull out different amounts of light values. We have a flat middle value, and then we have dark lines. So what we need to do now is we need to work through the middle values and the darks. And to do that, we're going to work kind of on one set of features at a time. So that we're going to start out with the eyes. And to start out with the eyes, I'm actually going to use my hard charcoal pencil while working from observation. And so I'm actually going to take my hard charcoal and I'm going to just lightly kind of outline my catch light on both of my eyes. So you need to make sure that your catch light is falling in the same spot on each of the eyes. And so mine is on the top right corner because that is where my light source is directing at my eyes. Now I need to kind of pull out that catch light a little bit more on my left eye. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to go in and I'm going to erase that. And so I am kind of just working like lightest value out. By outlining the catch light, it's going to make it pop more as one of the lightest things in the portrait. So I'm just taking my clicky eraser and pulling it out. And then I'll go back and take my hard charcoal pencil, making sure that's really sharpened to a nice point, and I'm going to outline that catch light. The next lightest part of the eye is the white of the eye. So the white of the eye, I did pull a value out of that. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and just kind of re-outline where my iris is. And so the hard charcoal is really nice. It has more binder in it than like the vine charcoal. It's, you know, it's nice and pointy like a pencil. So it is a little bit easier to control in that way as well. But it's not as dark. So it is something where I am going to have to go back in with my 6B charcoal pencil into the darkest areas. Okay, but I am just going to darken the pupils and then go back and kind of outline my iris on this eye. So the white of the eye isn't totally white. You should have a little bit of value kind of on the outer corners of the white of the eye. And so if you don't, I would lightly take your charcoal, your hard charcoal, and just kind of add some value. And even if you do, you might find that you need to add a little bit of value kind of coming out from the outer corner into the white of the eye. Okay, and then the rest you want to make sure that you're working from observation. So I am going to go ahead and just kind of add some more detail in here. For that tear duct area, I'm going to have a little bit of value there. There is also a little bit of a shadow cast on your eye from your eyelashes here and your lid that kind of comes down this way, so you can add that in as well. Okay, and then I'm just going to kind of refine the value kind of around like the eye socket area. So there's a darker value that kind of comes in here on this inner part to the right of my nose. And that's because the light source is coming in this direction. So I want to work consistently with that. If your light source is coming from a different direction, consider how the direction that shadows are falling. And so it's really just like my nose is casting that shadow. And then I'm going to go ahead and just kind of look at how shadows are cast kind of around this side of the eye. And so I do have some middle values in there already from the ground that I left behind. And so the hard charcoal helps me to kind of build on that middle value without getting super duper dark. Now this part here on the brow bone is a little bit too light, so I'm going to add a tiny bit of value in there with my hard charcoal to kind of correct that. I have very, very dark hair, and my eyebrows are dark hair as well. And so now I'm gonna, for this eye, I'm gonna finish this up with explanation to you. I'm gonna go ahead and switch to my soft charcoal. And I'm gonna go ahead and sharpen that before I move. So I sharpen my hard charcoal just with a utility knife and kind of carefully carving it away from me and towards the tip of the pencil. Okay, and so now I'm going to go in, I'm going to darken up my iris on the edges. I definitely want to darken up my pupil. Because I'm using the 6B charcoal pencil, it is quite a bit darker and softer than the hard charcoal. And so I just need to be mindful of that, just be a little bit more careful and with how I'm applying the value. Okay, and then I'm going to go in and I'm going to do, so I just tidied up my iris a bit. I'm going to go and kind of places where the edges need to be a little bit darker to show that there's a shadow. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put those in with the 6B charcoal. I'm going to put my eyelashes in really carefully. If you have lighter hair, it's probably best that you use the hard charcoal for this because it's easier to control. Eyelashes tend to grow in like groupings of 3, and they tend to kind of crisscross over each other. With the charcoal, they become a little bit softer, so they're not as like much of a detail as they would be in like graphite, and so you kind of end up almost like giving the impression of them a little bit more than actually placing them in there. So my bottom eyelashes, I'm going to leave super duper light. I don't even know that I see them a whole lot. They're pretty minimal. And so I just kind of keep rotating the hard charcoal to get a nice kind of cleaner, sharper edge. Because as you work it down, it will get sharper in other places. And certainly if it gets too dull, you can always resharpen it. Okay, and then for my eyebrows, I'm using a similar technique to how I did my eyelashes. I'm kind of like pressing down and lifting up as I pull in the direction that the hair is growing. And so I want to add those in. And so again, I am using the 6B because I have very dark hair. You might end up using something different. And then anywhere around the eye area where you feel like you need to get darker values, you can use your 6B. If you need something lighter or you feel like you need to be able to control the value a little bit more easily, go in with your hard charcoal. I always like to work with the hard charcoal first and then go in with my 6B next. Okay, and then I go ahead and I apply the same thing to my other eye, making sure that I'm working from observation, adding detail with each of the pencils, erasing out areas if I need to, thinking about the eye sitting back in the socket, making sure that I adjust values as needed, putting my eyelashes in, both the top and the bottom, and my eyebrows as well, making sure that I keep those strokes nice and clean and detailed, and finishing it up by transitioning value with the hard charcoal.